Somewhere near you, maybe even in a local store or growing quietly in someone's backyard, there's a leafy plant that millions of people around the world have been eating for generations. And lately, it's starting to show up in conversations about healthy aging, blood sugar balance, and heart support. If you're over 50, you've probably noticed the health conversation changing. People are talking more about glucose spikes, metabolic health, inflammation, artery stiffness. It can feel overwhelming. You want to do the right things, eat well, stay active, protect your heart, but it's hard to know what actually matters and what's just another trend. Here's the truth. As we get older, the way our bodies handle sugar and support our blood vessels can shift gradually. Not overnight, not dramatically, just slowly enough that most people don't think about it until a doctor brings it up, or lab numbers start creeping in a direction they don't like. That's why more people are paying attention to simple, food-based habits that may support long-term wellness. And one plant in particular has been gaining quiet attention, not as a miracle, not as a replacement for medical care, but as a nutrient-dense food with some interesting early research behind it. Have you ever started paying closer attention to your blood sugar, your heart health, or the small daily habits that might add up over time? If so, I'd love to hear what changes you've been thinking about, because what we're about to explore isn't hype. It's not a cure, and it's definitely not magic. But there's one part of this conversation that most people completely overlook, and once you understand it, you may see your daily routine in a very different way. Stay with me. This is where it starts to get interesting. Somewhere near you, maybe in a local market, maybe growing quietly in someone's backyard, there's a leafy green plant that people in many parts of the world have been eating for generations. Not as a miracle cure, not as a trendy superfood, just as food. And recently, it started showing up more often in conversations about healthy aging, blood sugar balance, and heart wellness. If you're over 50, you've probably noticed that the health conversation feels different than it did 20 years ago. There's more talk about glucose spikes, insulin sensitivity, inflammation, artery stiffness. Even people who feel generally fine are paying closer attention to lab results and long-term risk factors. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. As we age, our bodies naturally change. One area that often shifts gradually is how we process sugar. When we eat carbohydrates, whether it's bread, rice, fruit, or dessert, our digestive system breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters the bloodstream, and insulin helps move it into our cells to be used as energy. When this process works efficiently, energy tends to feel steady. But over time, cells may become a little less responsive to insulin. The signal is still there, it just might not work quite as smoothly as it once did. This is often referred to as reduced insulin sensitivity, and it's one reason why blood sugar balance becomes a bigger topic after 50. You've probably heard more people talking about glucose spikes lately. With the rise of wearable health tech and continuous glucose monitoring, many individuals are seeing in real time how certain meals affect their blood sugar. While not everyone needs to monitor that closely, the broader lesson is simple. Steady patterns over time matter. When blood sugar stays elevated more often than it should, it may contribute to oxidative stress. That's a natural biological process in which unstable molecules can gradually affect cells and tissues. It's not dramatic or immediate. It's slow and cumulative. Over the years, those patterns can influence different systems in the body, including blood vessels. And that brings us to the heart and arteries. Healthy arteries are flexible and smooth. They expand and contract with each heartbeat, allowing blood to flow efficiently. Over time, factors like chronic inflammation, high sodium intake, lack of movement, poor sleep, and prolonged elevated glucose may influence how flexible those vessels remain. When arteries become less elastic, the heart may need to work harder to circulate blood. That's one reason cardiovascular health continues to be such an important public health focus worldwide. It's not about sudden events. It's about long-term patterns. So where does this overlooked green plant fit into the picture? The plant many people are rediscovering is moringa, sometimes called the drumstick tree. In countries across Asia and Africa, it has been used in traditional cooking for centuries. The leaves are added to soups, stews, and teas. It's not synthetic, not engineered, just a nutrient-dense plant that grows easily in warm climates. What makes moringa interesting from a nutritional standpoint is its profile. The leaves contain vitamins like A and C, minerals such as potassium and calcium, small amounts of plant-based protein, and several naturally occurring antioxidants. Among those antioxidants are compounds like quercetin and chlorogenic acid, which researchers study for their potential role in managing oxidative stress and inflammation. It's important to keep perspective here. Antioxidants don't work like magic shields. Your body already has built-in systems to manage oxidative stress. Nutrient-rich foods simply contribute to that system. Moringa is one example of a plant that contains multiple beneficial compounds in meaningful amounts. In recent years, researchers have explored how moringa may interact with blood sugar markers. Some small human studies and animal research have suggested that moringa leaf powder may support healthier post-meal glucose responses when used alongside a balanced diet. There have also been investigations into how its antioxidants might support vascular function. But this is where responsible health discussion matters. The research is still emerging. Many studies are small and short-term. Results vary. Scientists consistently call for larger and longer clinical trials before drawing firm conclusions. That doesn't make the research irrelevant. It simply means it's early. In today's digital world, early research can quickly turn into bold claims. One promising study becomes a headline becomes a promise. But real health doesn't work that way. It's rarely about one ingredient or one supplement. It's about patterns and consistency. For many people, the appeal of moringa is also practical. It's relatively affordable compared to many supplements. Powdered moringa can be stirred into smoothies, soups, or warm water. Some prefer capsules for convenience. The taste is mild and earthy, similar to other leafy greens. Still, natural doesn't automatically mean risk-free. Moringa is biologically active, meaning it contains compounds that can influence body chemistry. For individuals already managing blood sugar or blood pressure with medication, adding concentrated herbal products without medical guidance is not advisable. Even plant-based products can affect lab values or interact with medications. Pregnant or breastfeeding individuals are often advised to be cautious with herbal supplements unless safety has been clearly established. And anyone with a chronic condition should consider discussing new additions with a healthcare professional familiar with their history. That's not meant to discourage curiosity. It's about staying informed and thoughtful. The bigger story here isn't just about moringa. It's about metabolic health as a whole. More people are shifting from reactive healthcare to preventive awareness. They're asking how daily habits influence long-term outcomes. They're looking beyond quick fixes and toward sustainable patterns. Metabolic health includes how efficiently your body manages energy, how well your blood vessels function, and how balanced your inflammatory response is. These systems are interconnected. Sleep quality influences hormone regulation. Physical activity supports insulin sensitivity. Fiber intake affects digestion and glucose absorption. Stress management plays a role in cortisol levels, which can influence blood sugar and energy balance. In that broader context, moringa becomes one small piece of a much larger puzzle. It's not about replacing medical care. It's not about avoiding evidence-based treatment. It's about understanding that nutrient-dense foods can complement a balanced lifestyle. If you think about long-term health as a foundation, the basics still matter most: regular movement, whole foods, adequate rest, social connection, and managing stress. Adding a plant like moringa to that foundation may offer additional nutritional variety, but it doesn't override the fundamentals. And perhaps that's the most empowering message. You don't need to chase every new trend. You don't need to panic over every headline. Sustainable health is built on steady habits repeated over years. If you've been paying closer attention to your energy levels after meals, or thinking more about heart health as you age, you're part of a growing movement toward awareness. That awareness alone is powerful. It shifts the focus from reacting to problems to supporting wellness. It's also worth remembering that no two bodies respond exactly the same way. What feels noticeable for one person may feel subtle for another. Nutrition is complex, and personal experiences can vary. That's why patience and realistic expectations matter. Instead of asking, "Will this fix everything?" a more helpful question might be, "How does this fit into my overall routine?" That shift in thinking changes everything. If this conversation resonates with you, if you've been exploring small, manageable ways to support your long-term health, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried incorporating more leafy greens or nutrient-dense foods into your meals? Have you noticed changes in your energy or overall well-being? Sharing your experiences in the comments might encourage someone else who's just starting to pay attention to these patterns. If you found this discussion helpful, consider liking the video so more people can discover balanced, evidence-aware health content. And if there's someone in your life who's navigating similar questions about aging and wellness, sharing this with them could start an important conversation. Because in the end, health isn't about dramatic promises. It's about perspective. It's about understanding how the body changes over time, staying informed about emerging research, and making thoughtful choices that support you in the long run. And next, we're going to look at another everyday habit that quietly influences metabolic and heart health in ways most people rarely think about. So stay with me.